Everybody, I'm going to hand it over to you, Holly, and step out of the way so you can teach us the tricks of the trade. I thought it'd be interesting to learn, how to get real estate partnerships, through a real estate agent. I mean, no better way to learn what you guys like, than hearing it from you yourself. So I'm excited to hear that, and I'll get out of your way so you can present that to people.
Sure. Also, welcome to I have a really loud office, so I'm at my house today. So just want to warn you guys that my dog Max keeps me safe from UPS, FedEx, and Amazon. So if you hear some barking in the background, Max is keeping me safe from the doorbell. So I really like this to be interactive. So if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat box and we'll, I'll try to answer as much as I can. I'll give you guys my 90-second elevator speech. I'm Holly Quinn. I am in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I am the top solo agent here. So last year did just right at $47 million in transactions. That's 78 transactions. Most of that, I love working with buyers. So most of those, more than 40 of those were buyer transactions. And most of those went to my preferred lender, who is Shannon Shingle with NFM Lending. I am also a real estate coach with B Coaching and Consulting. So if you guys like what you hear, I'll just give a quick plug. You can come see us April 20th in Las Vegas at Accelerate. So if you want some more information, you can check out gobegreat.com. So Shannon and I actually talk on these panels quite a bit about our relationship. And I'm going to start out by saying, why I think this is important and what to do as a lender and what not to do as a lender. I can tell you the things that turn me off like automatically. So Shannon and I's relationship really started out very kind of innocuously. She kept doing these little pop buys to our whole office, all, like once a month, these cheesy little pop buys. And I was like, who is this obnoxious lender? And it wasn't until we were put in the same circle that we ended up having a conversation. And she's been my preferred lender for about 8 years, and has become one of my best friends. And I think that because it grew very organically, is one of the things that we have so much success with each other. So understanding that relationship, something that, and this I'm going to just tell you, is my absolute biggest turnoff. Having an amount of success in my area, I probably get 3 to 4 lender calls every single day. And I try to answer the phone anytime it rings. But when I get an ISA from India or somewhere else, and they're like, hey, Mitch, I'm just going to pick on you a little bit. Hey, this is, whoever from Mitch Peak's office. And this is almost verbatim what they always say. Mitch has really noticed that you have had a very successful business, and he would like to get with you for 15 minutes for a cup of coffee. First of all, there's no such thing as a 15-minute cup of coffee between people in sales. So that's the first strike. But would like to get with you and explain and give you this description or explain how he's different than 9,000 other lenders that have already called you. So the first thing is, if you want to develop a relationship with a successful agent in your market, you pick up the phone and call them. Do not have an ISA. And you better know about my business if you call me. You better be like, hey, I noticed that you did 55 buyer sides last year. Like, ask questions. Realtors love to talk about themselves. Completely. Like, you want to ask me any question, I'll tell you. But, ask them questions like, where are you finding these, where are you getting your buyers? What do you attribute your success to? Get them open and talking. I don't have time for a cup of coffee on most days, and I would suspect that you guys don't either. But honestly, you have to make it about that realtor. And the reason that is, and you also have to like that realtor, and they have to like you. If you go meet with somebody and you don't have chemistry, just move on, because they're not going to work with you. They're going to use you for what you can do for them, or what you can do for them and what they can do for you. So I would say that I kind of lost my train of thought because my phone started going. I'm just going to turn this guy off. Sorry about that, guys. I had it on mute, but my screen's blowing up. Um, what you can do for them and what they can do for you. So I do think that the most important thing that you can do with a realtor is actually have a real relationship with them. Does anybody have any questions? This should be interactive. Okay, let me read this one. How does a lender or real estate brokerage find out our transaction amount and volume for a realtor? Is there a system or software they use? Don't mortgage brokers or lenders, don't you guys have access to our systems? I know. So here in Colorado Springs, we can check through the MLS and look at what other realtors have done here. So if that's something that you want to do, and I know my preferred lender usually knows my numbers better than I do. So did that answer that question? Okay, perfect. So one of the things that I will tell you, let me just kind of go through some of the stuff that Shannon and I do together. And if you guys hear my dog in the background, I apologize. Some of the things that we do, like if you find your person and you really get along, what I would suggest is start taking them to lunch, get them, thank you. Sorry, I've got that chat box coming up here. Take them to lunch once a month, drop by and be always kind of on top of mind. Have you guys ever gone to buy a new car? Right? So if you're looking for a new car and say, I have a son who is not very practical, who lives in Boston, and he drives an electric Mustang. But so when he was looking for that electric Mustang, what was the one thing that he saw all the time on the road? He saw all other Mustangs, he saw all other electric vehicles. And why is that? It's the reticulating whatever it is in your brain that stays top of mind. So if you're looking for a car, if you're looking to buy a new house, what are you always on? You're on Zillow. You're seeing everything that you guys see all the time. And that should be the same with your lender and your realtor. So it has gotten to the point now where my first phone call every single day is with my lender. And we, at any given time, we've got 4 or 5 transactions going. And so it's not just about the transaction itself, but, we're always complaining about our husbands, our kids, our barky dogs in the background, whatever it is. So if you really want to be top of mind, stay top of mind. And that is lots of calls, lots of emails, texts, whatever it is. Even if it's just sending a stupid meme on a Wednesday, like, you guys remember the camel with the, hey, Mike, guess what day it is? It's hump day. Like, send stupid memes. We like that. We're all pretty childish on our end. So, and apologies. I don't know what my dog's barking at. So I don't know if you guys can hear it. Can you guys hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. And there's nobody out there. I don't know what he's barking at. The other thing that I would say is, apologies, guys. I don't know what's going on with him. The other thing that I would tell you is that make sure when you are working with your realtors that there's somebody that you want to do life with, right? Like that you genuinely enjoy them. And what I will tell you is I've had a couple of lenders that I've worked with in the past who did not like at all. And so even if they did a great job, I'm not using them because I don't like talking to them. Get my notes up here. Does anybody have any questions? I wish that you guys could unmute yourself so we could actually have a conversation versus me just talking to you guys. But
Yeah, we're watching. There's questions can be popped in the Q&A. If anybody has questions for Holly. Holly, what was the one thing that kind of attracted you to? You said Shannon. What was that kind of attracted you to that relationship?
Like I said, it took her about 2 years of really trying to get my business before we actually met and started hanging out. And it was something really irreverent. We both got invited to go to this. I'm a woman, right? Like, so we're vain. We got invited to a Botox party together. And I had never met her in person. And when we actually sat and, had a glass of wine together, I realized she was hilarious. She had put her facade down. She was this really professional person, which I knew she already was, but she then became like a real human to me. And that was really important. And it did also take a while, though, I will say, to the trust factor of, am I going to trust her with business? So it started out with like one deal. Um, you will lose or earn business on one transaction. I recently was given an out of state referral, and they came pre qualified from an out of state lender. And so the first conversation was, every Tuesday, I call all of my folks that are under contract and I like to give them an update. And I said, and I would like that open line of communication with you as well. So, and I want you to be honest and truthful. Like, don't blow smoke up my backside if you really haven't ordered that appraisal or whatever it is. And don't throw your underwriters under the bus if you've made a mistake. I want full transparency. So I had told this lender that, here's kind of my expectations is, I would really love a weekly call, just a 2 or 3 minute chat to say, here's where we are, here's what documents we're waiting on, can you help out? Can you get those? And here's what else we need. And here's where we are in the process. And this lender actually said to me, no. I was like, what? And this lender said, no, I don't call realtors. I never call. I'm not going to give you an update. I'm not going to tell you anything that's happening. I'm just going to tell you when we have clear to close. And that was about the worst 30-day transaction of my life. Now, this person, so I'm in a military town, and this other person was in a military town. And I give referrals all across the US in places where there are military towns. Now, my lender is not licensed in all 50 states. I sent 3 referrals last week to the state of Virginia, to the same agent, to the same place. Do you think that guy is going to make it on my referral list? Absolutely not. Just based on the fact that he was, kind of pretentious, and he did not think the relationship was worthy of his time. So to me, that's dumb. But anyway, so kind of answering in a very, in a long way, Shannon earned my business first. And then because she did exactly what she said she was going to do, kept me informed the whole step of the way, then she earned that second person. And then she earned the third. And we've probably done 500 deals together now.
Yeah, Brian wants to know, how would a loan officer get your attention since you have such a good relationship with Shannon? So, we all have that situation where you go into an office and, oh, we already have a relationship with so and so. So similar to what you just said, you refer someone out, they better be able to take care of you and your customer first and foremost.
Right. Yeah. So I do have other people that I do refer to. So Shannon, Shannon does get, obviously most of my business, but there's always those off things. I just listed this 70-acre lot. Well, she doesn't do land loans. So then I have somebody that might specialize in land loans. It's also way out in the middle of Egypt. So that could also be a USDA loan. She doesn't do USDA loans. She doesn't do cash out refis. She doesn't do HELOCs. So there's always somebody else that will earn that business, which coincidentally, we have a credit union here. Our 25-year-old daughter, we did the first FHA assumable loan last year in the county ever. It was weird. But I worked with the number one lender at this credit union, and it was such a horrible experience with her because she would call and go, hey, I need this, this, and this. And I'd be like, I sent it to your processor 2 weeks ago. And she was like, we don't have it. And then I would re-forward the email saying, hey, here it is. But same too, is that the lack of communication was really bad. So I still need to use that credit union. Well, I went to a broker open house for one of the young agents on my team yesterday, and another young loan officer from this credit union was there, and he kind of gave me his pitch, and I was like, "Wow, okay, next one, I'm going to send him to you." So how do you earn that business? Do something else. And the other thing that I appreciated was this young guy yesterday said, "I know you have a great relationship with Shannon. I'm not trying to get in the way, but are there some other products that I have, or maybe there's another area where I specialize that I could, maybe work with you on something like that?" And that answer is absolutely. So even if you can't uh, be the primary lender right now, you never know what's going to happen in a year or 2 years or 3 years down the road. So wow that person, give them that really first class experience on that first opportunity you have, and maybe you earn that business.
Yeah, because who knows? Maybe Shannon moves, next year, and you're looking for somebody to take over. Greg wants to know if you ever work with or would ever work with LOs out of your area.
Absolutely. I do work with, I have again, because I'm in a military community, I'm also the wife of a retired Army colonel, and I have that bonehead son in Boston and his brother both went to the Air Force Academy, and they're both active duty officers in the Air Force. So, and he's not really a bonehead, he's awesome, but he did buy a stupid car for living in Boston. Anyway, I have a couple of lenders that are licensed in all 50 states. So, guess what I do? If I have a good relationship and I'm sending, like those 3 referrals that I sent to Virginia last week, um, not going to that lender. So if you're licensed in Virginia, hit me up, and if you can give great service, you might get some referrals from me. But yeah, I do work with some people that are out of state. I've got one guy that is licensed, or he's in Texas, but he's licensed here in Colorado. He's an Air Force Academy grad. He sends me leads. And so to me, also, if you want business, send me a lead, I'll give you one back. To me, it's a one for one.
Tell us a little
Um,
bit about understanding the role of the real estate agent or the realtor as a loan officer.
so thank you for asking. I appreciate it, Mitch, because I know I kind of sent you some talking points. And of course, my printer died this morning, so I don't have it printed up. So I appreciate that. Um, if you can educate the realtor that you're working with, like you hear all the time that realtors that we need to give out 3 names. Well, that is not true. We don't need to. And I think that if you can educate the realtors that you're working with that you are not referring your clients to 3 different agents, why would they need to refer 3 different, three different lenders? So the conversation that I will have, so I do a buyer's presentation with every single client, whether they are first time home buyers or they're buying their 20th house. Every situation is going to be a little bit different. And so the first thing that I tell them, truly, I'm not that serious of a person. I like to have a good time. So I'm always like, hey, step number 1 in the circle of life of, the kind of the life cycle of buying a house is talk to a real estate professional. And then I go in and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I run a 7 agent team here in Colorado Springs. So if I can't help you, somebody can help, blah, blah, blah. And I'm always like, and the second thing you want to do is talk to a lender. So the lender that I recommend, and I always say, here in Colorado Springs, it's like a big little town because we have like 800,000 people, but it's like a small town feel. And people really want to work with somebody who's local. And so I always say, I'm going to use Mitch as an example. I'm going to be like, Mitch has a really easy online application process. That's who I want you to start with. Like Mitch gives the best customer service. He's ranked, again, since it's a military town, I'm going to be like, he's one of the top 25 VA lenders in the nation, which I don't know if you are, Mitch, but if you are, congratulations. But I might say, he's a total rock star. And the way that we set you up for success, and here's what I say, most of the time people cannot beat Mitch's rates. But if you talk to him, because he's going to be your best friend through this process, if you have a conversation with him and you're not feeling it, like, then call me, I'll give you some other names, but I'm never going to offer up more than that one name. And I think that's really where lenders are doing a disservice to themselves, because I feel like if you tell us how you want to be introduced and, propped up and set up for your conversation, it's easy to do. It's the same thing like, if you have, I have like a mini BMI group. It's literally it's 4 people, or 5 actually. It's financial planner, the lender, myself, a roofer, and a CPA. And so the question I always say is, like to my financial planner, what does your perfect client look like? What kind of net worth are you looking for to work with? And how do you want me to introduce you? So if you can give that information to, your realtors that you're working with, hey, a lot of people, Shannon doesn't actually give me a lot of leads, but I go back to her because she gives such great service to the clients, right? But I might say to her like, hey, how do you want me to introduce you? Like, what does your ideal buyer look like? Is there anybody you don't want to work with? Like, she'll occasionally give me, like, she gave me a $250,000 buyer a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, there is nothing under 350,000 in this county. Why are you giving me this person? But she gave me the opportunity to say, hey, would you like this person? Or do you want me to, is that below your threshold? Would you like me to pass them on? I'll work with anybody. I work with a lot of luxury, but I'll work at any price point if it's possible. So does that answer that question for you?
Yeah, let's talk about co-branding and that actually works. I mean, what have you seen that co-branding that works for you?
Well, I'm going to tell you what doesn't work, and that's Zillow. So if you're co-branding Zillow with somebody, unless they're a rock star at conversion, the national average for Zillow, I think they gave out something like, I'm going to make this number up, but I think it's pretty close. I think they gave out something like 3 million leads last year to realtors. They have a national average of closing at 4%. So take that money instead, co-brand with them in other ways. I actually really like HomeBot. Like, I co-brand that with Shannon because it's like, for me, it's like $25 a month. It's nothing. But the other thing that we do, we host, because we have so many of the same parties, host parties with them. So we do a couple of really big events every year. Our biggest event is Christmas or Cookies with Santa. It's so easy. We rent out um, a community center in a neighborhood, and we bring in, like, real Santa and Mrs. Claus, and we do. This also, by the way, will cost you about $2 per kid. We do little cookie decorating kits that my staff puts together. We get sugar cookies, we put icing and little colors in a little box and hand them out. But this year, Shannon had a craft. She did some kind of little snowflake ornament. I don't know. She brought all the stuff. She set it up on a table. She was able to get with, all the same clients. Most of them are hers, of course, but not all of them. And, she ended up pre-qualing, I don't know, 3 or 4 people from that one event. So if you're going to co-brand, offer to do stuff like, hey, she does this for us all the time. She'll make flyers for our open houses, and she'll make really nice brochures, and she will go sit at them. I don't know how many men and women we have on here, but if you are a woman, and I've got a couple of really cute agents on my team, I don't feel that it's safe for them to be alone at an open house. And we don't do it. So they're always going to have somebody with them. So one of the best things you can do, if make sure that realtor is throwing successful open houses. Maybe you're offering to drop signs for them the day before, because we put out between 20 and 30 signs the day before. Maybe it's offering to go knock on all the doors on that street and say, hey, we're having an open house. Come check out what your neighbor's house looks like. Or, if you have any friends, give your information out too, but be there, help co-brand that, bring some cookies. I don't know, whatever it is, but it does not have to be expensive what you're doing.
Does anybody else have any questions for Holly that she can answer? But like, I'm asking all the questions. I want to make sure we get everybody else's, questions answered.
Bill, I see your question on My Home IQ. I'm actually brand new to learning about it, so I don't have an experience with that, so I couldn't tell you.
We'll change that for you, Holly.
Bill, I have you. I got some tricks for you, my friend. I'm about to show you guys at some point today how to use our system in a different way to create some value.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about one last thing, Holly, is overcoming challenges. You know, you talked about addressing, common challenges between real estate agents and lenders. I mean, what is it that drives you crazy that a lender can, do to help eliminate some stress and hassle from your day to day?
Really, the number one thing for me is an open line of communication. And honestly, like, don't BS me. Um, if there's bad news, just give it to me. So I sent somebody over this last week, and unfortunately, the husband just started a new 1099 job, and they thought they were going to qualify for like $1 million property, and they don't, because they're only using the wife's income. Don't try to sugarcoat it and go, hey, we're gonna go talk to these underwriters. Like, if they don't qualify, just tell me, right? Just be like, yeah, they're not ready, and so we'll put that off for a year. On the other hand, if I bring you a challenging client, one of the biggest things that I will appreciate is if you have exhausted all your tricks.
Let's see. Anybody else have any questions at all that we haven't covered for Holly? This is your guys' opportunity to really, find out the inner thinkings of your real estate agents, and what you can do to get in their, in their good graces, if you will.
I also, uh, I will tell you that when I need to learn something, I will approach, title companies or lenders. Like right now, I think social media is super important in our industry. And I'm watching, some of these great LOs and realtors on like TikTok, love it or hate it, everybody's on it, or Instagram. So one of the things that you really could do to add value is offering classes, lunch and learns, or whatever, for the realtors in your area. And if you can do stuff on bring in a social media expert and teach us in an hour, how do you post on Instagram? Like, how do you make good reels? How do you do, like, I don't know, I'm 56. Like that stuff, the internet did not exist when I was younger. So those are things that I'm always up for. Sadly, I'm missing this today, but there is Gavin Ekstrom, who is with Cross Country in Denver, comes down about an hour south about once a month and does classes for lenders. And he books out this, really nice restaurant, feeds them, and he talks about how to do, if you are a new realtor, how do you get in front of a buyer, like how to do a buyer presentation. So I'm not going to that, but I sent five of my realtors are going today. So have classes.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I think there are a lot of loan officers out there that I've seen doing those classes on, education on TikTok and social media, and how to get over your video, and different things like that. So really a good idea. So Mark wants to know, where do top producing real estate agents typically hang out?
Nowhere. I'm really tired. But I will say, like, I just switched to a new title company because the owner of the title company took my husband and I out to dinner. So many people forget that, we're married and we have families. So go where they go, right? So I do some philanthropic. I volunteer with a place here called Mary's Home. They take battered women and their kids in, and so I volunteer and teach classes. Like, go where we go. So where is that? Most realtors you can usually find next to a bottle of wine, because that's how our life goes. But do something during the day, unless you're taking my husband, because I am not going to do anything outside hours without my spouse. And offer to everybody has real producers in their area. Well, Real Producers once a year does a big awards ceremony. So I got nominated for an award here locally, and our thing is next week. What did my lender do? She bought a table so that my entire team could come. I probably won't win, but who cares? And it cost her like $600 to do that. But she's also going to get in that room where there are 400 realtors, and that's an opportunity just to be out there. And she's not necessarily doing it to get the business, but she's showing that she cares about the realtors that she's working with.
Brian has a good question here. What's one thing that you wish your lending partner was doing for you right now that they're not?
Oh. I'm not going to use Shannon because she actually does pretty much everything that I ask her to do. But like I said, we're she's kind of become my best friend. In fact, she's traveling, like we're going to that Accelerate together, and we're traveling together, and we booked a show to go see Garth Brooks is in town. So I do like that. But one of the other lenders that I work with, that young military guy, the one thing that he could do better, and he doesn't, is share my posts, brag about me on social media. Like he actually did. He got a clear to close in 10 days on a deal. And I didn't see it. Like I post, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this lender is great. But he's not doing the same thing for me. He's not doing like, Holly is such a great negotiator. She got $15,000 in seller concession, that when our VA buyer closed, it covered all the closing costs. It, bought down the rates, whatever it was, whatever great thing. They're not sharing that. So if you're like, love on your agents, if they do something and you have a closing, I actually don't talk about it a lot on social media because I don't want to be like, I don't do those big signs like, oh, just closed. But unless my clients want me to. But I would absolutely love it if my lenders would do that and be like, hey, I'm just going to brag. This is what she did.
Brag on them like they're your wife or your kid.
Yeah.
That's what I would suggest.
Holly just scored a goal or
Right.
whatever.
Brian here wants to know, what about a lender that works with you asking for other names of other agents, inside your office? Is that acceptable? Would you be okay with them coming up to you and be like, hey, Holly, we're doing great business together. Is there someone else in your office that I could work with?
Absolutely. I do it all the time. So, I love the lenders, Shannon, so much. She can come up to me and say, who do you like? And can we go have lunch together? Again, like I hate to say this because I literally get like 4 to 5 calls every day asking me for coffee. If I took every single one of those coffee dates, I'd have a heart attack. Like there's so much caffeine rolling. But not very many people offer to take me to lunch. So maybe offer, hey, Holly, would you like to go to lunch, and bring your favorite agent that's on your team, or, bring your whole team. Like if I can be around, because I love the agents that are on my team are like my kids. Like I genuinely love them. And I have this superstar young guy that I think is going to be probably the #1 realtor in Colorado Springs here in the next couple of years. And if you were like, hey, can you bring Tanner to lunch? Absolutely.
Awesome.
Happy to do that. If you are giving me great service, I am going to love on you until I die.
Jason wants to know, since you told everybody that you looking to renew a license in Virginia, how many people have already reached out to you?
Nobody, but you guys give me a call. But I actually do answer my phone, so I'm listed. That's my cell phone when you look me up. Everybody remembers my name because of Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
So, is there anybody specifically in the Richmond area? Because maybe I'll introduce you to the agent. So, I've got realtors at almost every military installation, but a few. So, if you work in a military installation, drop me an email, holly@hollyquinn.com. And then we can schedule a time to just kind of get to know each other. But just know I do have really high expectations.
Absolutely. Well,
But I'm really nice and I love to joke. So
both sides. All right. Well, Alex said you're a rock star. He's sharing Does anybody else have anything else for Holly? Or turn things over to Todd.
And if you have really good jokes, always give me a call.
Jason said he was thinking Harley Quinn also. And he said
Listen,
he's gonna
yeah.
get a license there just for you.
I happen to marry well. So, thank God I married Matt Quinn, who gave me this last name. And then thank you to the DC Comics for having Harley Quinn. I do hear at least once a week, like, has anybody ever said you sound like Harley Quinn? I'm like, no. But the good thing is it's name recognition. Nobody forgets my name.
Right. And that's free.
That is free. I had this partner that was like, hey, I'm Holly Quinn and Associates at the brokerage. That's our team. And she was like, well, we need to change it. And I'm like, hell no. Do you know how many people know my name? Like, even after I'm long gone and dead, you guys should keep this name. Is anybody in the Dallas area? Because I grew up in Texas. I'm a Texas girl, just married a New Yorker. It's very sad. My parents were very disappointed, who moved us all over the world because he was in the Army. But in the Dallas, there's like Ebby Holiday, something like that. And everybody knows her name. And I haven't even lived in Texas in 25 years, and I remember it.
Jim just said that he sees you're 225 miles from Steamboat Springs. Not sure if you'd be interested in a listing that far away. Would you have a suggestion for an agent in that area that you would recommend?
Yeah, Jim, give me a call. I don't list up there because I'm not part of that MLS, but I can put you in contact with a great agent.
Awesome.
Oh, speaking of, which I completely forgot about, one of the lenders that I work with who's licensed in all 50 states, Kyle Johnson out of Washington State. He's also with Cross Country. One of the things that he does, if you have a client that needs a listing, say in Steamboat Springs, he will call me or his other agent. He'll call the agent and go, hey, do you know someone? I have somebody who wants to sell, because that gives me the opportunity to go to the Steamboat agent and go, I have a referral for you. So that's some residual income if you've got folks that are going to sell, that you can really add a value to your agents. Is like, hey, if I have somebody who's going to move, I'm going to call you first and see if you have a realtor in Steamboat Vale. If you have people that need to sell in Aspen or buy, please call me first, because they're like, that's like a $10 million listing or whatever. But, if that's an opportunity to get a little bit, it's nothing off of your back to say, hey, Holly, I've got some clients who are moving to Tacoma, Washington, where, McCord Air Force Base is. Who do you have? And then I can call that agent and go, hey, I've got a referral for you. Like, that's really a great little added bonus for you.
Awesome. Well, I know you were kind of curious too, Holly, learning more about My Home IQ. So I appreciate you, doing this and joining us. And, I'm going to bring on Todd, and he's going to tell people a little bit about, what we're doing and how Home IQ can help them. So give me a second here.
And can I stay on it?
Yes, absolutely, Holly.
Okay, perfect.
My screen is visible?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. All right. So there's a couple of questions early on, and I did reply to a couple of them, but kind of want to talk to you. It's like a lot of things that Holly said, like, fully agree with. I've spoke to over 20,000 realtors in my life. And when I see our product and being able to provide value and having meaningful conversations with the realtor that you've never spoke to before, our company is about to roll out intelligence. And there's some competitors, that have like some data. So like MMI, and people have probably heard of MMI, and having 1 year realtor data in front of you. A lot, when I speak with people about some of the things that they're using their tech stack, and if MMI gets brought up, and I always ask, how do you use it? And it's, typically looking to see, how much business that their agent partners are giving out to other people. Where are they on the priority list? Or if they met a new realtor today, who they're giving business with and how much business are they actually doing. So it's, and I go, it's really, that's kind of where it falls off the vine. That's about it. It's like, okay, you're going to see if an agent's a liar or not, or if they're actually producing and, what your current agent partners are doing. But I go, but then what? Like, what do you do from there? And if you've identified a realtor that you want to work with, how many phone calls and how much interaction do you have to have? And Holly brought up something about, it is a risk, giving, meeting a brand new realtor today and having that conversation and that follow up, and whether it's once a week or twice a week, calling them and checking in, seeing how they're doing, how you can help. But still, that first loan that they give you is a risk. It's a gamble. They don't know your skill set. They don't know your underwriting team's, skill set. They don't know how good you are along the way in your communication, all of these things. So it is a risk on their behalf. So if we could, like, let's say if I were going to call Holly and have a conversation with her, I would like to talk with her about, what's coming down the barrel. Let's not say, hey, you're very successful and I'd like to work with you. It's like, yeah, obviously, like, people would love to take Shannon's spot and, all those transactions. Yeah, it's like a very obvious thing, but that's a very developed relationship that exceeds normalcy, right? So it's like, how do you infiltrate that? But if you look at a loan officer, and let's say we're just going to look up somebody here, and let's go with, like, this is the intelligence feature. Inside your account, you're going to be able to look up and you're going to see your colleagues. And these are agents that have crossed your path, and you're going to have 5 years of transactional data in here. So you'll be able to see 5 years of all of the agents that have been on either side of a transaction. And let's say we'll just look up, this is one of our owners right here. So this is Oleg. He's an active real estate agent and does pretty well. Let's pull up his last 3 years right here. And then so now we have the lost listings are going to show up, right? So in about 13 days or so, I think roughly around there, we have 5 years of transactional data going to be visible in here for all real estate agents across the board. Now, why is 5 years important, right? So if MMI shows you 1 and you can just see what they've done over the last year, okay. However, getting into year 4 and year 5, and being that we signed this data agreement last year, we're actually going to start having 6 years and 7 years. And when you get to that point, we're going to start to identify loss, meaning that when one of these homeowners lists their home with another realtor, this agent has lost this transaction. And that transaction could have been lost due to some inefficient marketing, low open rate, low engagement, or maybe a relative, got their license and, they wanted to give them business. And that happens. You can't control that. But being able to see what an agent has lost, and then our predictive analytics running on the rest of their clients, and our predictive analytics are, in fact, 72% accurate. So a conversation with someone like Oleg saying, hey, if he's lost 5 listings in the last 5 years and it's cost him $87,000 in missed commission, and based off of our analysis into every one of these zip codes, he has a total of 25 potential listings coming down the barrel. Now, so then you can see all of the loan officers that they work with, total volume, and then you get into the actual transactions. You can see what they've done on the buy side, and then over the last 3 years, and which of these homes have loans in it. So now, let's say you want to invite Oleg to be your partner. So the conversation with Oleg would be to the tune of, hey, Oleg, I don't want to take a lot of your time, but this is, I wanted to talk to you about loss. And I want to talk to you about future business and how I can help you get to that next level and make sure that you don't miss out on any future opportunities. I have a system. It's called Home IQ. Number one, it doesn't cost you any money. So we're not going to have a financial conversation right now. But what this system does is it's identified some future business for you as well as some loss. And you've just so happened to miss out on a few listings over the last few years. And it could very well be to maybe some of the marketing is just not reaching your clients the way that you would hope. So this system gives you a roughly around 84% email open rate. And the report in itself is built for engagement so that you can control your client's education, reduce some of their Zillow visits, create opportunities to have conversations, and as well, all of their activities being tracked so that you can reach out to your clients and have those conversation checkpoints so that you stay top of mind throughout that life cycle. I'm going to create your account right now, and I want you to see this, and it's up to you on how you use this. But my team over at Home IQ will be reaching out to you, and they're going to show you this system in detail and see if this is something that you'd like to move forward with. But this system has a lot of your transactions built in here, and I want you to see how many of your past clients are likely to sell in the next 6 to 12 months. So it's either A, you can start to, increase your visibility and use this report, or B, at least have a conversation with these people, because there is a 72% chance that 25 people in your past client list will be selling in the next year. And I would love to help you get those listings, right? So that type of conversation, pure benefits. Let's not talk about going to coffee. Let's talk about me making you more money, and moving forward, losing less business. So when you invite Oleg, and now let's pull this up here. And I should have had this up, and I am silly, but here we go. Let's pull this thing up. So we have this screenshot here, and this is what Oleg is going to be looking at when he logs into his account. So we've identified all of his transactions. Here they all are. Here's your 5 years of transactions. Here's all your volume. And then here's what you've lost. And then the pre-mover score. And then our new pixel that's coming out called Home Shopper will be now built in here as well. So we are going to actually be identifying when you have active clients going into open houses within your own ecosystem. Now, what we've done is a lot of realtors, not all, but a lot, are not as organized as you would hope, that their database is scattered all over the place. They don't keep proper records. And so we've actually collected all of their past transactions for them. So we have the name off the deed, address, purchase date, purchase price, loan information, home value, and pre-mover score is ready to go, roughly 99% complete. So that when our company and your realtor success manager reaches out to each one of these realtors for you, we're going to be able to show them the pre-mover score on their past clients so they can either A, reach out to these people, or B, put in the email address. Now, if this email is now going to go out and this new report is going to be going to this homeowner, you are then going to be co-branded to this report. So it's so to the point of maybe you didn't do the first loan. The objective is to help you do the next one. And your agents can control and choose which ones that they want to connect with and be in front of. So this now new feature is allowing you to identify the right types of realtor partners, who's doing what in any environment, who their loan officer partners are, and if they are not working with one so exclusively that you have an opportunity to connect with them. Let's talk about loss. Let's talk about future business and where you fall into this. So this feature is going to be added in the next 13 days. This is going to be a part of your toolkit. And now I wanted to show you guys one thing, because I think it was Bill brought up something. So being that our system has this pre-mover score, this exclusive feature, you have these predictive analytics running on all of your past clients. So we're taking into consideration what is selling and then comparing sold data to your clients, and saying, hey, this individual matches up to 88% of the homes that are selling in this environment, right? So if there's a lot of different factors that run into it, but typically, it's saying, hey, this person is in a very similar situation to other people that have sold in this environment. So when you see somebody in the 88%, allow this to get your undivided attention. But this number is instantly calculated on any time that a homeowner and an address is entered into our ecosystem. So you have built into this account, we give you a bunch of social media banners. So I believe HomeBot doesn't have as many, but they might, who knows at this point. But you have a bunch, like we have different types. There's track your home's value. There's different ones. And we give you 2 different lead capture pages to drive traffic to. So this would be like a loan officer account. So let's pull up one of these here. Let's going to pull up the Home Wealth Builder. This search bar right here is connected to 6 different data partners. And in real time, we are going to calculate a pre-mover score for a client. So let's say that Holly had a listing and you wanted to call Holly and provide some value in that initial conversation. And then you could say this and say, hey, Holly, this is Todd Frensley. I don't want to take a lot of your time. This is what I bring to the table. And this is what I do for my agent partners anytime that they get a listing. Would you be open to me farming this neighborhood for you right now, finding you a handful of potential sellers using this algorithm, so that I could get my rate sheet into your open house this weekend? What do you think? And if she says yes, then it's like, hey, give me 10 minutes. I'll call you back. And then we're going to go through what I discover. So now you can just look up and say you found her listing. So let's go Colorado Springs homes for sale. So you look up it, the homes for sale in the area. So let's click on this. And then you can go to upcoming open houses. So you just click on open house right there. And now you're going to have 9. Let's say we're going to load this up there. There we go. So we have a $450,000 property, 264.34. Let's take this one, right? Let's do this one right here. And then very easily, right? So you take the address and then you copy it. So you copy this address and you Google it. Go to Google. You're going to have this aerial map right here. And here's a subdivision, right? So we can zoom in. So let's say that this was one of Holly's listings or one of her team members' listings. And then you take any one of these homes. Let's take this one right here. And you take this address. So that's the address. Once you click on it, it's going to pull up right here and you have this copy to your clipboard. So you just literally click on these little squares and you paste it just like so. And our system is going to do a 237 data point scan, create the partial profile, and then calculate the pre-mover score for this address. And we're going to add it into your account just right here. So from here, you just go copy, paste, copy, paste. You can do probably 6 in a minute, spend 5 minutes doing it, look up 30 homes. So this is the homeowner, and off of the name, off of the deed, you got a 60% probability score. So that's a kind of a upper middle, not a likely candidate to sell. Couple of options. Maybe their equity growth hasn't been that much, or they've lived in this house for a longer period of time than the normal people sell in this environment. So let's say that you found somebody that was 88%. At that point, you can assign any one of these people directly to Holly. So you call Holly, call her back, you create her Home IQ account, just invite her through here. She activates it. She now puts in her NMLS number. It's going to pull in all of her past clients. And then you're going to assign all these people to her. So not only can you actually identify some potential sellers in a neighborhood for her, but you're also going to be able to show her what she's done over the last 5 years and then now 6 years and how many of her past clients are likely to sell. So not only having a conversation on what you can bring to the table right now, but also giving her a window to reestablish a relationship with people that may have fallen through the cracks, especially on the fact that she may have lost a few deals over the last several years. And let's talk about loss and gain, creating that sense of urgency. And you've reassembled their database that they may be struggling on keeping those records. And now you're having a very powerful conversation with any realtor at any given point. And that's what this system is intended to do, to help you grow your agents on a massive level, to sit down with a realtor and shape the way that business is done moving forward. Let's focus on, hey, you've accumulated a good amount of buyers, and these buyers are in a position to sell at some point. Look at these people that have a low down payment. This house wasn't what they wanted, it's what they could afford. That's an expedited time frame in that home. They could very well sell their house in the next 6 to 12 months. Look at their equity position. Can they purchase something better? Absolutely. Let's have a conversation. Let's make sure that they've heard from you, because they could very well be looking on at homes right now online and thinking about what the next step is going to be. And really, have they truly interacted with you? The amount of emails that you've sent them over the last 4 years could be 3 a month. So that's 36 times 4. That's over 100 emails. How many of them have they actually opened? How many times have you actually spoke to this client? So if they were to see the perfect home right now, can you guarantee that they're going to call you and say, hey, I want to sell our house and free up some of this equity, want to purchase this thing? Or are they going to reach out to the closest thing at hand? And that's what we can't control. We can't control where people are searching. We can't control when they see the perfect home. We can only control the relationship we have with the client. So either for you, for your past clients, tracking their activity, seeing where they stand, talking about their equity, seeing if they've done those home improvements. And if they have, then let's adjust that home value. Let's make sure you know exactly where your home is worth at any given point. Or B, if you haven't done any, let's talk about that refi or that HELOC, and maybe you want to max out on that future list price. And then if they've done the home improvements and now they're sitting in a house and their equity growth has been above 75% since their purchase, they are thinking about the next step, and just making sure that you've had enough dialogue with that client so that you don't miss out on future business. So I firmly agree with the things that Holly said, and I do believe that, separating yourself and providing a true value proposition to a realtor that you want to work with. And it's not about great rates and closing sub 30 and helping people with their credit. You're like, hey, if I were to call a realtor right now, and what separates me from anybody else? And I go, well, I would go this approach. I would try to get into numerous open houses with my rate sheet. This is what I could do for you right now. Let's talk about loss. Let's talk about your future business and how I can help you make more money. Because if you can help an agent make more money, they are going to return the favor. And that's it.
I have a question for Holly. So, Holly, if Todd came to you with this data, that's the first thing you talked about, like, come to me, you better know who I am, what I'm doing. If he came to you with 5 years of your data and said, hey, you missed out on these 3 deals and potentially this much in the future. I mean, what is it? I mean, is that something that's going to be attractive to you from a lender's perspective?
Yeah, so it's funny, while Todd was talking, I actually texted this information to Shannon. So I was like, you better look into this. But yeah, I mean, it would make me sad that I missed out on something. But if you could show me where, I've got a $2 million listing coming up in 80908, and if you could show me other people that are likely to sell and I could reach out, like that's super valuable. I would love that.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what it's for. Like that, that's the greatest answer you could have had right now. I just put a big smile on my face. And I'm sure our owner is on this call and he's probably ear to ear grin. That's the thing is you have a moment in time to have it, like to provide value. If you're going to have, and you're like you said it, like somebody that you've hired to make these phone calls, hey, you look successful, let's have some coffee. And I go, what is that going to do? It's not, that's nothing. That is a nothing thing. It's like, if I have to separate myself from anybody else that's going to call you. You're getting 4 phone calls a day. And if I got a hold of you and I said, Holly, this is what I do. This is what I do for my agent partners. I can do this for you right now. It'd be my pleasure to find you a handful of potential listings in this neighborhood. If you want to pass out some flyers, here I am. But I, as a newer loan officer, need that exposure. And let's talk about your future business, right? Let's talk about what you have coming down the barrel, and let's make sure that you don't miss out on these opportunities, because loss is on the table. If I can see that you've lost 1 out of every 10 transactions and you've done, 150 transactions and you have 35 people or 40 people likely to sell, and there's a chance that you could miss 4 of those, let's identify those people and let's make sure that you've had some interaction with them. And I understand that you're using HomeBot, but like the fact that this system doesn't cost you any money, like in your position, is irrelevant. Like you invest in yourself, but a lot of realtors typically don't. They see a lot of technology in that tech stack within brokerages as redundant. But now it's like, hey, let's not have a financial decision. My job is to make sure that you make more money. And how can I help you right now? Let's create that trust, because some realtors, they don't have consistent business. There's a 2 or 3 month gap in between transactions. And those types of people are saying yes to anybody. But if a lead fell in their lap, who are they going to give that lead to and that prequel to? It's not going to be you, because you're an untrusted like risk at this point. So it will go to the priority individual, even though that you've called and said that they'd work with you. And is it really a true partner? Or is it just somebody that said yes? Bringing somebody into this environment and then sitting down with them and then helping them understand what they've been sending is not good enough. Let's make that adjustment right now, because if loss is on the table and you haven't changed your marketing, the loss will continue to be on the table. That's our whole goal with this thing, is to give like our loan officers like true weapons to have meaningful conversations within the shortest amount of time possible to shape the way that agents do business moving forward, because there's a lot of technology out there and a lot of agents are inundated and they underuse what they have. They've been trained to market in a very particular way and it's ineffective, and their clients self-educate, and the average homeowner ends up in 4.7 different databases. And when it's all said and done, cross-contamination's on the table, top of mind awareness is gone, and people make very abrupt decisions. And how can we fix this moving forward? So
There's a good question there, Todd. As a realtor, is co-branding with a lender on My Home IQ limited to one lender?
Yeah, it is an exclusive thing, right? So you can't have numerous, like an agent can't have numerous loan officers that they're connected to. So it becomes a one-to-one relationship. So when, like, let's say, and Holly has the choice of who she, if we assembled all of her transactions and we can, let's say we're showing her 150 people and say, here's your past deals over the last 5 or 6 years. And then she can select which ones that she wants the report to go to.
Okay.
That is like, that would be like an agent's choice. And we still see that, like not every agent, commits. Like you'll see an agent load up like 3 or 4 people and they just want to tiptoe into it, and they don't want to disrupt, and they don't go, oh, I don't want to have any unsubscribes. I go, why would your client unsubscribe to seeing their home value and their equity growth? Like it goes out once a month. So it's a non-disruptive thing. And it's a similar, I guess, would be similar to a fact, like if a HomeBot's sending out a report once a month, it's non-intrusive. If you send out the same report once a week, yeah, your clients were like, dude, this is the same thing. Like the market pivots every 30 days. So like, why would you want to send that out numerous times? But if you're sending out happy holidays, you appreciate referrals, here's an article, here's a newsletter, here's my latest listing, and you have 5% open rate, and that's your CRM, and that's 100% of your outreach is your CRM, but you're only getting 5 or 10% open rate. All right, well, you have 95 to 90% failure rate, and you're relying on repeat business and referrals, but you're not tapping into that. Referrals come from conversations and relationships, not asking for them. Like if I wanted a referral from you and I just sent you an email, be like, I ask for referrals all the time and you don't open it, like then no, it's like, hey, Mitch, how are you? How have you been? Hey, congratulations on your equity growth. That's fantastic. Hey, wanted to ask you a question about that home value. Have you done any home improvements? You have. Well, what have you done? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, your home value is actually worth more. The value that you're seeing online or on here is just an average cost per square footage. But what have you actually done? Okay, well, hey, let's make that adjustment. Now, this is your true net equity. This is your purchase power. At some point, you might want to sell your home. This is now going to be tracking your down payment. When you find that perfect home, let's have that conversation. That conversation right there, you did not ask for a referral, but you are shaping what the next thing is going to be. You are a valuable entity for that client. But if I called you and I said, how are you? Oh, by the way, you know anybody that's thinking about buying a house, or, wanting to sell? Hey, keep me in mind. Or you go, I just ruined that. I just ruined my outreach to you because asking you for, but you don't need to ask for business if you have a relationship. Like Holly, you get referrals from your friends that you don't, every time that you sit down with them, are you asking them the best way to compliment me is to refer your friends or family? Or like they just think of
No.
you, your contact information's in their palm, you see them regularly, they want you to succeed. And go, okay, well, if you can establish a better bond with more people, then you're going to get more referrals. But it's like if so many people have been reluctant to have conversations, I just like that our report is going to create a more proactive environment for realtors and loan officers. When you see activity, when you see predictive analytics in an equity position and something coming down the barrel, you have a chance to get ahead of it. I love the notion that our system is going to force somebody to step out of their comfort zone and just reach out and say hello and maybe congratulate them on what's happened since their purchase because this was a true investment. That makes me very happy to know that our customers are going to have those types of conversations. Anyways, say lovey.
All right. Well, Holly, I really appreciate it. Do you have anything you want to add before you go?
So actually, like I said, I texted Shannon. I was like, hey, you need to get this. It's pretty cool. But if I were a lender, I would take this information, I would learn to do the presentation, and I would try to get in front of brokerages. Like there's 125 agents in my office. Like, why couldn't you do a presentation and take 15 minutes of like our monthly sales meeting and show this? Because I think that's really great value. And then, of course, they're all going to love you. So they'll all sign up under you.
Love it.
Rock and roll.
So
All
thanks,
right.
guys.
Yes, thank you very much, Holly and Todd.
Appreciate you, Holly.
Yes, we learned a lot. So I would say, Todd, if you have a link, you want to put that in the chat. So if anybody wants to drop a line to you to get demo set up, if they have any more questions, anything like that, I think that'd be a great way to do it. So other than that, I think, and do we answer all the questions, Todd?
I think so. And if not, my calendar, you guys can, if you guys have any specific questions on some usage, you want to just sit down and figure out this is a good option for you. I can do it one-on-one with you. It's kind of hard to do them, and answer people's, specific questions and apply it to your, your needs. But I think this thing's recorded as well. And, but yeah, email your questions too. I think everybody's emails are present. So if you have a specific question for Holly or for Mitch or for myself, just send it over, get at least a detailed reply. But, thank you guys all for attending. We appreciate you.
And do you have that link, Todd, that you can put in the webinar chat? I think everybody can see that if you put it in the chat, not the Q&A.
I did. I sent it to you, but then I'm not seeing you in the Slack thing. Let me grab it real quick here. The webinar one. Copy.
Yeah, and then that way, if you guys want a webinar or you got any questions that Todd can answer for you about it, then that's easy to set up with him. He can answer your questions one-on-one a little easier. And then, of course, if you have any questions for myself or Holly, please reach out. and we'd be happy to help you. And Holly, again, I appreciate it very much. And
It was my pleasure.
Mitch, I can only share the calendar to the host and panelist.
okay.
So yeah, that's the only thing. It's not letting me give it to everybody, but it's all good. I mean, we just send it out in the email too.
Yeah, we'll get that out to everybody in your email. Just watch for that. And then that way you guys want to set something up, you can do that with Todd and he can answer your questions and get everybody through that. And that's it. Other than that, I think that's all we have for everybody today. And we'll be back doing this every Thursday at 10 a.m. We already have the next one set up, and I think the next 6. So I'll be looking forward to Thursday's coaching corner with someone new each week, and we look forward to seeing everybody then.
Very good. Appreciate you all. You have a great one.